So last time we've seen the search. Okay, let's see it again. He sees our player, and if we hide the player, then we go and search for him. Okay, it will go towards the point, and then it's going to search through an area we have determined before, and then it's going to go and look on positions until it's time to change the behavior. Okay, the lifetime behavior, you can see right now it's on 60 seconds. Then it's going to go and do the other stuff we have. So now we're going to see if he still sees the player but he's out of his range. Okay, we're going to make him chase him. So let's open up. Let's drop it in common behaviors for now, at least. It should be fine. And let's create another static function. Let's call this chase behavior. And we're going to say this. We're going to take this as this. But before we go over there, let's go into the enemy stats and let's copy one of these and let's see where it's or maybe we can add it in the enemy AI. Yeah, we have some of the stuff. We have the radius over here, so I guess we could just yeah, let's do it this way. So okay, maximal distance is whenever he goes into the far list. The radius is whenever the distance from target is closer than the radius. Okay, we're changing to enable and then the rest of the stuff. So what we're going to do right now, if he's in view and he's higher than the radius, then we're going to change, instead of going back to idle, yeah, or instead of going into inserts, we're going to add the chase. So let's see how we can write this. Let's add one more over here, or let's call it in chase. Okay, let's close this and let's see. Let's add a case AI state in chase. Oops. Now here's the thing. Well, since he's inside the chase, well, oops, yeah, that's not how you write it. That's how we write it. Okay, since he's inside in chase, then that means he probably not going to, you know, stop going, you know, stop going towards his position. And how can yeah, so he's probably not going to stop midways to go, you know, change his behavior or to go into the search. Okay, so we're just going to ignore the monitor behavior live, and now that I think of it, we're going to add a new one. So let's call this in range, and let's call this to be under 5. Okay, and when you are actually seeing him, when you are in view, okay, so you have a target and you're losing him. Well, we're going to add one more case which was going to check if we are in range or not. So let's go into our in view and not going to use stop moving, but we're going to see, we're going to add one more behavior. Any view behavior secondary. Let's see. Maybe we can take it like this. So, for example, let's see. We have these two things which we want again, which this is going to be pretty much the same. Okay, and we're going to do a distance sec, and if it's lower than the, well, what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to remove this in range. Let's just hard code it over here. Okay, you can set it up inside the enemy stats in case you have different enemies that have different you know, that have different rates, maybe different weapons, stuff like that. You're probably going to have them, now that I think of it. So yeah, let's just add it in here just to be safe. So we have yeah, let's call it in range, and let's initialize it as 5. Drop it over here, and I'm going to save on in range. Okay, if we are under that range, then we can pretty much, you know, stop moving. So we can have stop moving. Otherwise, we're going to say, and we have moved to position, and the target position of course will be the candidate, not the candidate position, the last known position actually. It's going to be that one. So let's take this and let's go to our enemy AI, and we have the encapsulated. Yeah, so actually on the AI state we won't need this for now. Let's see, we might add it later, but let's just play it safe right now. So we are on our side. We have the in view behaviors, the secondary, and these ones. So, well, now we can check, since if our character, well, probably the character is going to change position every frame. So let's just go with in view behaviors. So we're simply going to say, and we had it like this, I believe, common behaviors, size behavior, this. We have an error, and the error is we didn't delete this one. Okay, he goes until he is inside his range. There's probably a problem with this. Let's see. In range is at 5. So that's interesting. So let's see. Yeah, I think I know where the problem is. It's probably here. Because we don't want the candidate position, we want the last known position. Okay, so far we've only added few lines of code, and this didn't work. Now let's debug it. Okay, let's see the distance sec we have, or what values it takes, just to be sure that it's not from this one. It could be the stop moving that doesn't work in this example, because we might recall it once again. and you can see that it actually works, but lower than 5 it makes him go this close. So we actually need to change the in range. Let's make it something like 10. Let's see if we take the player back away. Okay, you can see the distance is over here. Now, of course, this is way too much, or way too low if this guy is going to be ranged. So let's change the range to 15, and I believe the radius should probably be something along those lines. Okay, and you can see he stops and he's doing everything he was doing before. If our player goes away, well, nothing's going to happen because we are not updating the last known position. So let's update it. Well, the dirty way to do this will be to update it directly in here. But let's go back up the line and see if we should update it somewhere else. Okay. So site should probably be updating this if it's in clear view. And we have the radius, we have the... Let's see, let's try it again. Or actually, let's see. Let's see what RAI is doing. He is on in view. Okay, then that means let's go on debug and let's see the counters. Radius 50. We are probably on the safe distance. Maximal distance is 80, so we're definitely inside. So maybe we need to restart again the Navies agent. Let's see. Although I think, yeah, the move to position updates it. Let's see where this updates. There's stats. Set candidate position. Monitor target position. Let's see. Idle behaviors. So we probably need to drop this inside our in-view behaviors, but let's see. Yeah. So let's take this. So as you can see, it's only a matter of structure. Okay, because you'll notice that I'm just copy pasting, but because I'm copy pasting, I'm dramatically changing the whole behavior because we have set it like that. Okay, it's something we want to use. We want to use the structure to be to our advantage. Okay, and that's why we took the time to set this way, even though it might seem complicated at first, but as you can see, all I did was Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. Okay, and this works as expected. Now we have a lot of time in front of us, so instead of just doing the chase, let's also try to introduce a few more stuff like cover behaviors, stuff like that. So for example, let's take one of these, let's drop it in here. It doesn't matter, this is going to be purely visual, and I'm going to rebake this again so we get the nice cutout in our Navies. Now I'm going to do Well, now we need something that controls or well holds information inside the level. Later on we can automate stuff, make it more dynamic, but for now we're going to work with a manager. So I'm going to create again an AI director, and well, mostly we're going to use, let's see, did I have, yeah, I have the namespaces, so I'm going to reuse them. Okay, the namespaces are important because we plan this to be modular. Okay, we want to throw them inside other projects, and we actually want them to work without having to worry about hooking up anything else. Okay, and that's why use namespaces. So I'm going to have a static, I'm going to make this into a singleton, and I'm going to do to assign it, and for now let's only go with a public list of a transfer, and we're going to call them cover positions. Okay, and because I already know what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to say get cover, and I want to take the vector3, which is going to be, well, not the center, the closest, basically from. Okay, and yeah, let's go the usual way. Okay, well, mid distance, let's start with infinity, or you can get the distance from the first cover position, whichever, both will actually work, so it doesn't matter. And then we can do a for loop for each cover position. Okay, and float distance, or let's call this temporary distance, and then we're doing vector3 distance from, and of course a cover position over here, and we should probably add the position down here. And if the temporary distance is lower than the minimal distance, then the minimal distance will be the temporary distance and the return value. Okay, if I don't sound excited writing this, it's because I've done it so many times that, yeah, it really loses the whole meaning after you've done it for years. Okay, so we have a function that we're going to use later, and it's going to return us basically the closest cover position. Now there is one thing. This will return any cover position. So if you have cover positions that look this way, and you have cover positions that look this way, well, actually let me open up my yeah, I actually didn't open it up. Okay, so if you have cover positions that look like this, or cover positions that look like this, well, then you have a problem. The problem is that if the closest position available to him is this, and the player is over here, well, you can guess that that's not very clever. And for right now, we can utilize the transform forward of your cover position. So for example, I'm going to create an empty scene over here. You will notice that this is entirely visual. Okay, we will see other more clever ways to make it dynamically find cover positions and all stuff, but yeah, it's for much later part. Okay, because this doesn't have to do, well, that one doesn't actually have to do something with the AI, and it goes more into level design areas and stuff like that, but because we can utilize it, we're going to see it. So for right now, let's do it this way. Let's just write cover position, and let's bring it actually somewhere that it is, or well, it makes sense. Let's lower this since we don't necessarily need it, and we want our guy to be able to see behind this. Okay, we have our cover position. Let's go and make another one over here that looks the other way, and let's rotate it by 180 degrees. Okay, and we're going to purposely, well, I'm actually going to get rid of these planes, and I'm going to rebake, so I'm going to have one mask. Okay, and I'm going to put my enemy right over here. We have a cover position that looks this way. Let's actually tag them as well. Well, not tag them, put this. Okay, I'm going to put the red one that looks the wrong way and the other one that looks the correct way. Let's save. Well, you don't have to save. I just do it by, you know, force of habit. Now, okay, we have our transform, so that means we can actually get from this list, we can actually get the direction, and if we also pass, let's only pass the vector 3, and let's call this towards. So we're going to create a direction, and yeah, we're going to create a direction, and that direction, not actually, we're going to take this and put it inside our for loop. So first we're going to do direction from, let's go with towards, and our cover position dot I dot position. Okay, then we want to check, oops, that's a vector 3. Then we want to check the angle, and that angle will be into our direction to our cover position I dot forward. So that will give us, well, let's play it safe. Let's also get rid of the Y. Okay, so that will give us basically the angle towards the enemy from that cover position, and we can say if the angle is lower than, well, we can, let's go with 75. Okay, if it's higher than 90, then that means you can check for the dot product instead of checking the angle. Okay, but the angle gives you a little bit more control if you want to be exactly precise, that to be sure that he is inside your view, then okay, you can use the angle. Okay, and if it's lower than 75, then that means you are good to go. And or actually, let's see, yeah, let's go first with the angle and then the distance, so that means that we at least check all cover positions for the angle. Later on we can basically filter cover positions based on areas, based on grids, based on, you know, whatever you want, because this isn't necessarily productive at this point or performant, because you are going to be searching through a whole list of covers, which of course it's something that you don't necessarily want to do all the time. Well, on the other hand, you're only going to be searching this the first time and maybe a few more times if you need to. Okay, so you know, you can kind of balance things out. But anyway, let's go with this right now, and we'll see in the future what we want to do. So on enemy AI, we're going to say, instead of going to, let's say, behavior, let's change this and let's call it let's call this get to cover. Enemy AI. Okay, let's get the enemy stats. Enemy stats. And now we can actually start filtering more things and create a new AI state that is going to know that he's inside in cover. So we're basically going to be running the more inside the in view and stuff like that. Or we can, since this is going to be the same, so we can make it like a subcategory of the in view. Okay. Basically just trying to think which is going to be simpler in this case. And yeah, let's go with subcategories. Okay, so we're going to do, well, as I said, we might change this, we might delete everything in the future, so you know, what's first. Okay, so we have, let's go with in range, in chase or chasing or whatever, in cover, and we might need to have one before we are in cover, so let's call this go to cover. If look cover, so basically he's looking for cover, and we can use this again. Okay, and well, we don't need to have this public probably, so we're simply going to say in view subcategory. So we're going to say let's write in view sub, and we know what it's going to do. And now on in view, let's close the monitor states, we don't need them. On in view we have the every late frame and every frame, so we have something that looks for every frame if we are that monitors basically the in view behaviors. So inside this one that's going to run on every frame, we're going to create another finite state machine. Okay, so let's think how we're going to do this. Now I just noticed something that we have over here that we don't necessarily want, and that has to do with the rotate towards target. Let's see if that actually works like this. Yeah, he rotates towards the target. Well, the thing is, if he had an obstacle, no, actually he rotates. Yeah, he was actually rotating towards the correct position. Oh, and I know why. Because we probably have another mess agent. Yeah, it's closed over here, but the navmess agent can also affect the rotation, not only the position. So when the navmess agent is moving, it's basically overwriting the rotation we write on our player. That's probably because it runs on a different, it runs after we have updated his rotation. If you want to be safe with this, and if you want to control the behavior of the navmess agent, well, right now it won't make any sense. When we add animations to this and we do all the other stuff we want to have, then it's going to make sense, because we want to control our own, we want to control our rotation and our animations basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can disable it. Okay, and it's basically update position and update rotation. If you want to update position, you can understand what it's going to do. Okay, updates position, then it means it's not going to move. it means it's not going to move your agent. If you do not want update rotation, then it's not going to update the rotation. But yeah, as I said, we're going to leave this for now, and we're going to control our rotation later on when we throw in animations to this. Okay, but that is for a later part. Let's go back into InView. It should be around here. Okay, over here. And instead of doing a stage behavior, we're going to do a switch, and we're going to see, nope, not this one, in view sub. Actually, I'm going to rewrite it with a tab in switch in view sub. Okay, if he's in range, we're going to write, just throw a debug log, and we're going to say in range. Okay, if it's in stage behavior, I'm going to take this and put it over here. I'm going to say rotate towards target only, but only when you are in range. When you are in cover, then we're going to use the common behaviors, and we're going to say get to cover. Okay, so actually not in cover. In cover basically means you are in range, so we're going to do the same again. Over here we're going to say common behaviors, get to cover. Okay, and we're passing this over here. Yeah, so we need to write the get to cover, and we actually need to populate our AI director. Well, we're going to do it in a bit. We don't have it ready. Okay, so what we need is a target candidate. So let's go to the enemy stats. Let's throw in public transform. Let's call this cover position. Let's see. Yeah, let's call this target cover. Simply like that. So common behaviors we're going to have to do. We're going to first do a check if target cover is null. Then we want to actually find one. Okay, and the way to do this will be target cover, and we have our AI director which is waiting for us, and see get cover or find cover. I forgot what I wrote. Get cover. Okay, get cover, and we need to pass from, which means our own position, towards, which means our, well, we can go with last known position, or we can go with the actual target. Okay, depends what you need to do. Logically, it's probably the last known position. So if you have a target cover, then that means you of course need to go there. Let's go paste all this, and let's only check. I'm going to delete the distance check from this, and I'm also going to lower this to something like maybe 2. Okay, and over here I'm going to say the distance check. The check we need to do is not from the last known position, because we're not going to the last known position. We're going to the target cover dot position. Okay. Now there is a slight problem. Well, you're going to see we're going to throw in a hook over here. If target cover is still null, then that means this guy didn't find any viable positions. And what I also forgot is that this basically is going to take every cover in the list. So if he finds a position that works and it's on the other side of the map, then he's going to do it. Okay, we also need to add another distance check from the from position and control it that way and that way. Now, okay, stop moving, move to position, yeah, otherwise it moves there. Else, actually, let me see, does this, and yeah, this actually doesn't need to run every time, to be honest. So I'm going to take this from over here and I'm going to throw it inside the else statement, and I'm going to do this over here. So let's go on the enemy AI, let's find our in-view behaviors secondary, and okay, we were over here. Let's make a public function over here, and we're going to call this change in view state. Okay, in view subcategory, we could probably call it in view state, but anyway. Okay, and I'm going to call this target, and we're going to have a nice switch with our target. Okay, we basically, let's keep them, or although we're probably never going to call some of this, we'll see. Now, and so basically what this is going to do is going to just change the in-view subcategory is in view, and not is in view sub, to the actual target. Now there is yeah, this actually we might not even need this, but we can use it to, you know, affect changes the way we affect changes over here, that they are only running once when we are inside this yeah, when we are inside this one, when we are changing our states. So for example, I'm going to, yeah, just delete this, and we're going to add them if we need them later. So there's no need to actually clutter a script from now. Okay, and we're doing a distance check from, yeah, from this, and if the target cover is null, okay, or we have reached our you know, a state, then we can say let's see, our AI change state, change in view state, and that will means you are inside in cover. Otherwise, if the target cover is null, then just, you know, ignore everything and either go into in chase, well, probably in chase. The reason why I'm not using in chase over here or in range or something like that, that is because if you're going to go into a cover, you probably want to stay there. Okay, you didn't go into cover to just get out. Okay, so we might want to have different behaviors for a cover, because when you are a cover, you can actually, you know, wait for the character to do something or move and stuff like that. But yeah, those are problems we're going to face later on. Let's see that how this actually works, and what I'm actually going to also do, we need to throw this inside the script, and we're going to call this AI director, and I'm going to take this guy, drop it on the top, and I'm going to say drop our AI director, and let's take our two cover positions. Okay, we have our cover positions, we have our AI. Let's pause this, and if everything is correct, our cover positions are close to our player close to a target. Okay, if everything is correct, the enemy, or actually what's going to happen right now if we play, we haven't yet assigned where we start with. Okay, in view, well, basically what the state starts, so it's going to always start on in range, so we're not going to see any difference. So let's see it. Okay, he's in range, so that means he actually yeah, so he's in range, so that means he actually just goes to the waypoint, because we forgot to actually use stop moving. So let's throw it inside in view. Let's open this, and we have our in view sub category. Okay, let's try it again just to see that we are correct on the same page. Okay, just what he does before. If we change this, if we change basically our in view sub to something else. Okay, it says in cover, in range. Let's go with look cover. If we actually also use this correctly, yeah, we use this correctly. Okay, that means he's going to select a cover position, and he actually didn't. And now we have to debug this also. So get to cover, go to definition. We have, if we do not have a target cover, we're going to try and assign one from the AI director. Then if this guy is going to return null, it's going to go into chase. So something didn't work over here, so let's check our get to cover again. Let's see, we have a locals. I'm actually going to throw in a debug log over here into the angle, just to know. Well, we can do a debug log, or we can do yeah, let's go with the debug log. We could just, you know, make a breakpoint and see some other variables, but we won't necessarily need it. And it's only 2 positions inside our list, so yeah, it's not going to bring any problems. But actually, yeah, it gave us two positions. Let's see, because I'm definitely almost positive I forgot something to do, and yeah, that is the problem. Okay, we don't want the last known position, we want the target cover position. Also a problem that you have to keep into account if you are copy pasting. Okay, he's not going to the player, he's not going towards the player, he's going to a cover position, and even though this cover position is closer, he's going to ignore it and go to that cover position. Okay, if we make 2 characters, they're actually going to try both to go into this cover position, to be honest. So what we can do, although if we want to play it entirely safe, you wouldn't necessarily do it this way, but let's go and check it. Let's do it this way anyway, and we can, you know, fix stuff later. So we have a target cover position, so that means we can actually check and remove it. Cover positions, okay, if it contains the target cover, a target cover, We should probably write this inside an if statement. Oops. Okay, then simply say AI director we are removing this guy, so that means nobody else can get it because we have write it. Now this might not be entirely safe because you don't necessarily know who from these two is going to run and go first. So let's see. If it's going to run correctly, then that means somebody, and that somebody, that means this guy tried to access this cover position after this guy, and so he doesn't find any cover position, so he's going to go towards your player. Now other stuff we can do, and before we actually fix it to go through, because if I put this over here and let me close the other one, you will see that he's going to come and try, she's going to try and come to this cover position basically. Now why he thought this was faster this way, probably because this grid, maybe it's contained the same, I have no idea. Actually that might actually be a bug from Unity. So let's see why he thought, let's see his path. Well, now he decided that this is a better way, so you know, your guess is my guess, but anyway. Okay, it doesn't matter since logical creatures or, well, you know, humanoids, stuff like that, don't necessarily are going to take the fastest route somewhere. Okay, just keep that in mind, that it's not have to be perfect. In fact, if it's perfect, then that's an issue, if you're of course making AI for humans. And yeah, so we were over here. Okay, it removes the target cover. What we can actually also add, if by any chance we can add a second distance check, or we already have one inside over here, which is not find direction, which is the angle check we have. Okay, and if I'm correct, this also updates, yeah, it doesn't update anything with no, oops, not angle check, we want distance check. So yeah, we don't have one. Oh no, here it is, and it's inside this one. Okay, and we have this one inside, yeah, and it updates basically our enemy stats are distance from target. So if we take this one, because we don't call the site when we are going to cover, okay, because we don't care, we know there's an enemy, we don't care where he is at this point, we just want to get you know, to get in cover, and then we want to care about his distance. So let's take that and let's call it again on every frame. It doesn't matter, we're going to change it later. So we have a distance check to player, and we can go into our common behaviors. We can say if on our enemy stats our distance from target is by any time it is lower than, let's go with 5, then stop whatever you're doing and get in range. Okay, with this you can basically do it if he's closer than 2 points, you know, go melee that guy, forget you're going to cover, go after the guy, you know, go after the target. So for example, if the nav message doesn't want to go around again, if we take a player and put him midpoint, and he wants to go around again for a reason I don't understand, well, okay, let's help him. Oops, yeah, it's over here. Okay. When he goes inside, oops, in range, which is again 5 points. Okay, he stops everything and basically focuses on the target. Of course, you can change the settings to something you want. Okay. Okay, so this will actually override based on his current stats or his current logic and change behaviors. Well, sort of dynamically. It's not really dynamic. Okay, it's basically a finite state machine. Well, not basically, it is. Okay, now let's fix the problem we have over here, and you will notice that all these are not really anything. They're just basically, well, it cannot even get any more basic programming like this. It's really simple. Okay, it's just a few if statements, saved a few variables, saved a few information also, and we basically have if statements that, you know, it's going to say go do that, go do this, depending if that is happening, then react that way. Okay, very simple. But of course, if you were seeing this as a final product, it might feel complicated because you don't know where everything happens, and that's where a lot of the times confusion comes from. So let's actually fix this also. For now, let's just put a float distance from. Let's leave it like that, and we want a vector distance from and the cover position. Okay, so the from is basically our own position, and if that distance is lower than let's go if it's higher than 20. Okay, skip this cover position, save, and if we put this guy, let's put him back up again. Oh well, it doesn't matter, let's leave it like that. Now if he's going to try and capture this cover position, then he's basically just going to go in range directly. Okay, you can see it, there's no cover position, so he ignored it. If we change this to, let's go with 80, and let's hope 80 is enough, just to see that this is why he actually just goes in range. Okay, and that was why he was going in range. Well, of course, the player tricked him there, so he moved him on another state. Let's try this again. Let's take the player out of the way. Okay, you can see that the AI is actually going look cover, in cover, and we're going to do all the other behaviors in the future. Now, we probably in the future we're going to break this, to break the in-view behaviors into their own class. Okay, so they are not exactly sitting inside the common behaviors. We're going to see if it starts to get too cluttered over here with a lot of behaviors, we're going to change this. But yeah, relatively we have our scripts pretty light. We're not even we're not even on 400 lines yet, and that's saying something. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much our basics for a cover. Of course, we can optimize this, we can add more stuff, we will add more stuff, we will add more behaviors when we have our when we throw in animations. We're going to, well, I'm going to make a few animations as well, and I'm pretty sure I had one more thing to say, which now I don't remember. Oh yeah, so let's throw in some randomization. Okay, you don't necessarily have to do it this way at this point, but you know, why not? let's just see the example. I'm going to create a new script, and I'm just going to call this statics, which are going to be a few. Now, because I've used the namespace, the name statics a lot, I'm going to throw in the namespace again. Okay, and we're basically going to have, I'm going to make this into a static class, and I basically want to, let's go with an integer. Okay, run 200. I hope that's the correct way to write it. Okay, and all that we want over here is a random dot range between 0 and 100 plus 1, which makes it 101. But if you want to be nitpicky about it, this will force an an addition to happen, while this will just go directly to the number. So bitwise, this is faster. Okay, and this doesn't take well, we're talking about the milliseconds, but anyway, you can understand what I mean. Okay, because we're probably going to use this a lot, we can have this this script, that has functions that we know we're going to reuse and reuse, and instead of writing all the time, we can just take this over here, because this introduces the random element. Well, it's mostly close towards the RPG type of random element. Okay, so you get a base number. I don't know if you ever played Dungeons and Dragons, or any other RPG that isn't on PC that has to do with dice, because there are some that don't have dice actually. So what you're doing there, you're throwing a dice. It's either a 20 dice, it can be a 6-sided dice, it doesn't matter. So you basically just get a base value, and you can stack up modifiers on that value, and depending on what it comes out after you have after you have added all the modifiers on the base value, you act accordingly. With that idea, we're going to go into our enemy AI, and when we are changing the in-view behaviors, instead of setting this to look cover, let's clean this up. We don't want this to right now. Let's keep it like this at least, and instead of just doing directly in-view sub, let's create another in-view sub. Let's go with target. Let's, I don't know, just put a name everywhere. Let's initialize it. Well, actually, we can just go directly with. There's no point dragging into another one in this one, a random value, and we can say statics. Okay, random 200, and this will give us, we're going to also run a debug log value with the random value so that we know what we're getting, and then if the random value is lower than 50, look for cover. If it's higher than 50, maybe just go in range or in chase. Okay, so that is a random element. Of course, it's 50-50 chances of going either looking for a cover or looking for in chase behavior, but it's a random element nonetheless. Let's go over here. Let's actually create a few more cover positions just for the fun of it, because we're going to make a lot more enemies. Okay, I'm just going to leave this one over here. I prove my point with the angles based on the forward of the cover positions. I'm going to make this AI. Let's drop him over here. Let's enable the other guy. Let's copy paste a few of these guys. just for fun. Let's go over here and let's go over here. Oh well, let's put another one. Now you will notice that we are doing something over here, and we also have a few behaviors that affect that with a few checks in here. So for example, you have a random value over here. Okay, let's say you want or we can just go after that. If we are meant to override this, we can say that if your enemies, if the distance, well, with you, so in this case will be our own transform, and the last known position is lower than 20, then screw it, go for go directly to in chase. Okay, so if you are just close to him, just ignore everything else, just go in chase. Well, actually I'm going to set this at 10 because I don't really necessarily know the distances, and I'm going to take the player, putting him back over there, and I'm going to place this guy somewhat closer, so he's probably always well, not probably, probably this distance is lower than 20, so we're going to see what's going to happen. Okay, let's hit play. You can see that a lot of the values we get, well, actually only one decided to go. This is actually distance checks or angle checks, so we don't need this one over here. But you can see that only actually one decided to go to play it safe and go for the cover position. Okay. And let's see again. You can see again only two of these, and somebody first decided that, but he changed his mind somewhere. Probably we have maybe it's the check, the override, maybe it's higher than 20, or let's say change this to 5, I guess. We're going to see. Now this guy, he's probably doing something or tries to do something else. I don't know. Let's put the player closer. But yeah, 50-50 chance are not necessarily a good statistic to leave it, or good chances to leave it like that, I guess. So Morning Sync too, but some of these guys don't actually work as we want them to work. Well, probably is also the cover position is probably not at where it should. Okay, but yeah, I've basically showcased this. So what you can actually do, which is going to take more logical approach rather than a random approach, we can, and yeah, oh yeah, I know what's happening. We actually forgot to add our cover positions inside our AI director. So basically the first guy get rid of the cover position, or the only viable cover position, so everybody is basically just left sitting there. So I'm going to lock this, and I'm going to take all the cover positions, and I'm going to drop them in here. Okay, no multiples. And now we're probably going to have more guys going to cover positions, or pretty much everybody is going to go into a cover position, but then they're going to run the other logics which look like they are higher than the range. So instead of going into in chase, yeah, let's actually go inside in range, in cover, and it says, so let's see what we're doing on in range. AI, LSC. In range, rotate towards target, and maybe it's the distance check. No. And direction. Well, anyway, one of these is probably creates again the behavior. Okay, so as I was saying, instead of getting a random value, let's just basically write it as you're going to go for cover first, but if the distance is closer than, let's go with 15, then you're going to ignore your cover and you're just going to go and you're just going to attack right there and now. Hopefully the distance is higher than the one we want, and yeah, it isn't. And these guys don't actually rotate, and this will be in chase. And I saw an error. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, in range and cover. So let's change this to be lower. Let's go with 10. And on common behaviors, let's see, we have our distance check, we have this, let's leave it like this, I guess. We're going to see. Okay, they're going on the cover positions. It's time. But I think, yeah, probably what we did before that checks if you are in range. Yeah, we actually had the in range somebody somewhere, and I think this was probably it. Or let's see, take cover, chase, in cover, in range, final references, range, rotate target. Huh. Oh. Yeah, maybe it's this one. I actually forgot where it is. Okay, let's see where this is checked. Okay, here it is. It used all the chase behavior, and I want to put a debug log over here, just so I know, so that I know it's why this is happening. I'm going to click play. Let's see, they're going to go on cover positions, and you can see that they will start popping the F. That means they'll go over here, but this reevaluates their behaviors. So let's see where this is going to be called, and of course this is called from in chase. So instead of going directly to in chase, well, let's see, use sub, last known position is lower than 10. Yeah, let's change this. Yeah, so probably this is boring for you as much as it is for me as well. Okay, but well, you know, you wanted this to be from scratch. I warned you, but you didn't listen. Okay, so anyway, what we're going to do, we're going to, let's get rid of this, or let's just leave it there, and instead I'm going to say in range directly, and range, and let's see if now it's going to happen, if they're going to walk towards the player, and they do. So there's something else that changes. So we're going to go well, you know, we're going to throw an hard code, basically the stop movement. When they are in range, you are no longer moving. Also, when you are in cover, you are not longer moving. Okay, let's hit play. Again, this is not going to be the most optimized way to do it. This is a way to do it. So, and this still doesn't work, and it starts to get on my nerves. And so we have to reevaluate everything again. Let's see if we change. Oh, and it actually might be not, they might be going into, let's see, they might actually go into inserts or something like that. Let's see what this guy is going to do. Yeah, that was the problem. They are no longer inside inserts, they are in view, they are inserts, and that was the problem. So we also need to take that into account, and we take that here, monitor in states. So basically it's going to check when you are in view, it's going to, you know, change the state, the state back to idle or insert. So if we get rid of this, they're going to go into their cover positions and they're going to stay there. The other way to do this is, of course, changing the radius. And I want to see, yeah, we don't have actually colliders on our agents. Okay, if we had colliders on our agents, then keep in mind that your agents might hit one another and think that that is, you know, that is an obstacle. Well, we all know that it isn't. Okay, they go to cover positions, they will go inside range. I've proved my point. Okay, I passed on what we're going to do. So, of course, this is only but you know, a rough sketch. We're going to work on this. We're going to, you know, optimize it. We're going to see other ways. As I said again, we are showcasing examples over here. We're not necessarily creating a system. We are showcasing the examples, and we're only keeping what we actually like from what we're doing. Okay, and later on, depending on the game we're making, we're going to tailor it, and we're going to make it so that it's something actually useful. Okay, and then we're going to optimize it based on the needs for our game and based on everything else. So, you know what to do. Like, subscribe if you like to see more and you like to see it earlier than when they go public on the channel. Then consider supporting me on Patreon, where depending on your tier you also get additional rewards. The other way you can support me is by grabbing a project or two, including this one when we actually finish it, from Gumroad, along with the other nice stuff you've seen on my channel. So, I'll see you next time.